All right. Hi, everyone. There is a slightly different setup today. Hopefully it is more enjoyable for you and not just for Brooks and I, who are 2020 socially distancing it, although neither one of us has tested positive for COVID. But we are at a much larger table at a different spot. My name is still Charlie Minato. Across the table from me and to your left, I guess, or your right on the screen, is Brooks Whittington. Brooks, how are you today? Tuesday?
I'm doing great.
Today is Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday.
That's good to hear. Yeah, so this is the second of our 2024 PCA live shows, or PCA 2024 preview shows. And today's show is something that we have done, I think, pretty much every year that we've done one of these shows. It's kind of the easiest one to think of, which is, hey, what products are you interested in seeing that are debuting at the 2024 PCA Convention and Trade Show? We did a whole show last Friday that sort of goes over that. So if you're not familiar with the ins and outs of what PCA 2024 is, and if you're on half wheel, you're seeing a lot of it because it is a trade show and there tends to be a lot of new products there. We are writing about a lot of those new products this week, and we'll be doing so for the next couple of weeks as they get announced. The trade show starts this Saturday, or Friday technically, but the part that we all care about starts on Saturday, runs through Monday in Las Vegas, and we will be there covering it, albeit in a bit of a different fashion than normal. But that's not why you're here today. Today you're here to, I guess you're here every day to listen to us butcher things and have technical difficulties. But today you are here to learn about the 10 products that we are most interested in that are debuting at the 2024 PCA Convention Trade Show. Or you're here for contests, which we don't have today. But I don't know. All right, Brooks. Before we get started, well, I guess we have one more show coming up. It will be very different. We have not done this particular show before. On March 29th, which I believe it is a week from Friday, we will be back here at the same table, probably, to do a recap show. So that'll be a lot of questions and answers. We'll revisit a lot of the questions that we asked last Friday's show, and hopefully we'll have some answers to it. It should be interesting. I don't know if we're going to do a practice show for that. So
We absolutely should.
I don't know if we are, though. There's ash all over the microphone. We're off to a great start. All right, Brooks, what cigar are you smoking? As I clean
I am smoking a Tatuaje Bride of Mardi Gras that I found a bundle of, and I've never actually had one before. Apparently, I know nothing about it other than if it was released in 2018 at an event at Up Down Cigar.
Yeah,
so
it's a Lonsdale.
It is. Well,
I believe you probably have had one. We've had that bundle for a while.
I don't think I've smoked one. I keep meaning to and never have.
Got it. I'm smoking an Intemperance BA, the Petite Corona size, out of one of the samplers that I found stashed away.
Random sample.
Well, I was looking for the Intemperance Volstad 1920.
Yes.
That way I don't forget the name of it.
Yes.
Like during yesterday's preview show, or test show, I guess we would call it. The show that we never publish.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Hi, Jason Wood, who is very interested apparently in our live shows and was watching them yesterday. So anyway, the 10 cigars that we are most interested in. So the rules for this has to be a new product. So it's got to be something that's not been sold before, more or less up until this point, that's debuting at PCA 2024. It needs to be formally announced in some capacity. So there are some things that we are aware are coming, but we don't have details or don't have permission to share said details yet. Let's see, what else? It could be a cigar accessory, although I don't think we have any on there because up until yesterday, I don't know if we'd really written about any cigar accessories debuting at PCA 2024. I'm sure there will be plenty of them.
To be clear, there will be some there, just nothing that we've actually written about until yesterday.
Yeah, no, I think we have written some stories in the past couple of days. And what else? You and I aren't allowed to pick the same ones, even though we probably would have crossover. So it's 5 from you, 5 from me. And yeah. Oh, yes. And there was one other rule. So there was actually more than 10. There's 11 of them on here. And that is because the other rule was that neither one of us could pick legends. And we will get the legends out of the way to start. So this is Legends. It is a collaborative project from Arturo Fuente and Padron. If you are unfamiliar with it, it is a 40 count box that looks like this. There are 2 different cigars inside. There are 20 Churchills from Fuente, 20 Churchills that were made by Padron. These cigars are made to honor the guys or the men that built these companies into the sort of modern juggernauts that they are. So that would be Carlos Fuente Sr. and Jose Orlando Padron, both of whom have recently passed away in the last decade. And this project is being spearheaded by their sons, Carlos Fuente Jr., better known as Carlito, and Jorge Padron, who are now running the 2 respective companies. These are 2 of the most prominent names in the cigar industry, especially in the non-Cuban world. They are 2 family-owned companies. They are also 2 companies that are, I would say, extraordinarily private in comparison to most. And so that has made this project a lot more interesting from a sort of writing about it perspective. The reason why we're doing this is because based on our own internal metrics, as well as some external metrics, like when they announced this thing 2 years ago, the crowd that had formed at PCA 2022, this thing is quite popular. And apparently there is a lot of interest amongst our audience, and I imagine it's not just our audience in learning about this. So this cigar was announced, the project was announced in 2020. This cigar was announced, shown off, this box was shown off in 2022. It was also, again, on hand at PCA 2023. We still don't know the details of the blends. I suspect that we probably will never be told those in any sort of detail. The Padron is probably a Nicaraguan Puro. The Fuente is probably mostly Dominican, maybe all Dominican. The Fuente is a round cigar. The Padron is a box press cigar. We don't know how many boxes are being made. We don't know the pricing of them. We don't know when they will ship. They were supposed to ship at the end of last year, but some of the boxes got damaged in the December shipment, and so the 2 companies decided to hold off on shipping them before the end of 2023. I get the sense that they are very close, which is not very helpful. I don't think they'll be on shelves this month. This is a great time for... well, they probably can't hear it, but there is a leaf blower outside of our office for some reason at the moment. So they probably can't see it.
Man.
Or, sorry, they probably can't hear it. But I would suspect sometime in the next couple months... I don't know. It's very loud. Cool. All right.
Yes.
Brooks, any thoughts on Legends?
No, you can't rush a hands of time. And you have said before that you think that it's going to be released at Father's Day, correct? Last year, but now this year.
If I had to guess, that's the date that makes the most amount of sense, given that it's a project for people's fathers. But I don't know. I've not been told Father's Day. I've always thought that would be the most logical time. I am on record as part of our 10 Questions article that came out in December of saying that if I was Padron and Fuente, I would not sell this cigar. I would not have any details about it at the trade show this week. Just to, like, when people ask about it, just be like, sorry, we still haven't finalized it. Like, it's coming. We don't know when, but, like, please shut up and move on and buy our other stuff. Because it's going to be a very large distraction regardless, and this seems like a way where you could sort of minimize the distraction of it.
It's a nice spam there.
Sweet.
All right,
so that's Legends. And with that out of the way, Brooks, do you want to get to the actual top 10 and your number one? And just so we're clear, these are not ordered in any way at all. So this isn't like Brooks's favorite or Brooks's 5th favorite. This is, I think I've just sort of
just randomly put in.
Well, I tried to make some sense of it. All right.
So my first selection is the Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust Go Fuck Yourself sampler. The hashtag Go Fuck Yourself.
Well, that's also not what it's
Lancero
called.
collection. It's called the GFY,
which stands for
Go Fuck Yourself, right? Which I'd like to say right now.
Okay.
And that is the Lancero collection. Now, this is a collection box full of 10 different Lanceros. And it actually has 10 different blends with 6 different wrappers, one of them being a Candela wrapper. And this is interesting because it's the first time that Dumbarton has ever actually released for sale a Candela wrapped blend. Now, also included in the sampler is a re-release, if you will, of the, and I'm going to have to look down here, in MLTMTHA, hashtag MLTMTHA, which basically stands for Now Leave Me the Hell Alone, which was one of the first, if not the first, lancero that Saka released. I don't remember when, to be honest with you. So this blend we know, this cigar we know, one of them, and the other one has a Candela wrapper. There's nothing at the moment known about the rest of the cigars in the sampler. Now, I'm a very big fan of Lanceros, as I know Charlie is, and I think this is a great thing, but price is $159.50 per box. Only 3,000, up to 3,000 boxes will be sold. Now, Charlie, you had some interesting comments on the yesterday's preview that we did about the Lancero sampler specifically.
Oh yes. Sorry, it's been a long week, and it's Tuesday. Yeah. So Steve Saka has, and I would say Skip Martin of Roma Craft have also engaged in this. I would describe as nihilism marketing, and it's very successful, to be quite clear. And they also are very active posters to social media in ways that is, I think, unrivaled by almost anyone in the cigar industry. But they also do a lot of complaining about their own products and about oh, if you guys don't want to smoke them, then that's fine. I'll just smoke all of them. Or in Saka's case, I don't know why anyone should spend this much money for a cigar, but here we go. You guys are all idiots. And then Saka does this I don't like Lanceros. And as someone that does like Lanceros, I also will always tell people that Lanceros do not sell very well. They are financially not a good idea.
As Saka mentioned, by the way.
Of course, because again, we're doing hashtag nihilism marketing. Here's the thing. If Steve Saka really didn't care about Lanceros, he would just not make this sampler. Because it's not something that is going to generate a ton of money. He's committed to making up to 3,000 of these, if at least for the initial runs of them. But correct. We're not talking about 6x60s or 7x70s. There's not a huge market for this, and so if you didn't care about Lanceros or didn't like Lanceros, you would just do what any number of other companies do, like say Perdomo or Ashton or I don't know. I could probably find more. Rocky Patel, not a big Lancero company. And just not make them and just not sell them. But instead, we do nihilism marketing of oh, I don't know why you idiots keep asking me for these things, but
you know it's genius and you know it works. It works very, very well.
Oh, Saka's nihilism marketing?
Over again.
Yes, the nihilism marketing,
yes.
I totally understand. I'm just saying, this is one of those times when we should point out, he, if he really didn't like Lanceros, he would not be making them. And I'm curious to try it. I'm curious about the Candela, which looks like radioactive green. But I bring that up because I do remember when the Muestra de Saka series got announced that Saka, because we were dealing with FDA times in a different world at that point. And so, it was the same world, but different times, I guess, is the actual way to apply those adjectives. But Saka showed off, I don't know, maybe 10 different Muestra de Saka Vitolas, some of which have come to fruition, some of which have not. One of them was a Candela. It was not a Lancero from what I recall, and I don't think it was the radioactive green version either. But I am curious. I'm less curious about the Candela Lancero. It's probably going to be my least favorite of the bunch, just given my history with the wrapper. But I'm certainly curious to see what the blends are. I'm also curious to kind of know how many of these are Bicaritas and how many of these are completely novel blends. And that again, as I mentioned yesterday, if you didn't like Lanceros and you didn't want to do this, you wouldn't spend the time to blend these cigars, which probably all required some work because taking a 5x52 Robusto and trying to make it into Lancero, if you don't reblend that cigar, it's not going to go well from what I understand.
Yes, and I would not be surprised to see a future post on Saka's Facebook page about which one did you like best? Let's see if we can make some boxes of whichever one wins the award, whatever that nature is. It wouldn't shock me at all. So I'm interested, incredibly interested in this. I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I'll bring you a Candela, Charlie, if he gives me one. All right.
You don't think I'm capable of acquiring free samples?
I mean,
Although I guess my track record would suggest that I'm terrible at it.
Touche.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
What's next is the Kromagnon 2024, Kromagnon PA, Kromagnon Pennsylvania, or just Kromagnon. Skip Martin and I, speaking of Skip, had a conversation last year about what to call this. I suspect that it will sort of get referred to amongst the Romacraft faithful that remember old Kromagnon as Kromagnon PA, because I do think there is some value in differentiating between the two, and so did Romacraft. So this is the new Kromagnon. The old Kromagnon is at least retired for the moment, maybe like an Aaron Donald situation. Retired, but maybe not completely done. Skip Martin told me last year that Romacraft has had a lot of issues acquiring the necessary Connecticut broadleaf to make Kromagnon. So much to the point where they pulled it out of production in mid-2022 because they ran out of usable wrapper and or got to a point where they didn't have much of it left, and they pulled it off the price list in the beginning of 2023. Kromagnon PA shipped actually, I think, like 10 days ago. They shipped the Timeline to about 20 retailers. The Timeline is a size that Romacraft released for its 5th anniversary in the original Kromagnon blend. And it's now back in the new Kromagnon blend, which has a Pennsylvania broadleaf wrapper. The original one had a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. It has an Ecuadorian Sumatra hybrid binder. That Ecuadorian Sumatra is something that Romacraft was using a lot last year for the Intemperance Volstad 1920, as well as Quin Quanjanamera. Sorry, I knew you were about to say it. Sorry. And it's also got some Dominican tobacco in the filler, which is something that was not present in the original Kromagnon blend. And it's now shipping this week in the 7 core sizes. There will be, it sounds like a few more sizes later this year or maybe next year, as well as you'll get like the Kromagnon PA version of Black Irish is scheduled and some other things like that. But these are the same 7 core sizes that they had in the regular Kromagnon Knuckle Dragger. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, so Kromagnon PA shipping to stores. Very curious to try it. I generally speaking am a larger fan of Connecticut broadleaf over Pennsylvania broadleaf, but we'll see.
Yeah, look, I trust Skip pretty well with his blends. He knows what he's doing. One of these has a 109 cap. You said the Timeline.
The Timeline does.
That's pretty cool. 109. I'm not going to turn down in terms of smoking something. I have found that the Kromagnon to me has been a little strong. It's one of the reasons that I don't necessarily smoke it that much, and I'm interested to see if this is different in that regard.
Sorry, we're just getting bombarded with things.
There's lots of stuff out there going on. What's this going on here?
This is the electrician that was supposed to be here yesterday, who I'm now. Oh, I guess I could.
You know what?
Tee you up, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So while you're taking care of that, I'll mention my second cigar, which is the Wise Man Maduro. Now, this is the second version of the Wise Man Maduro. Actually, there was quite a bit of news with Foundation Cigar Company before the show. Not only did they take away some of the releases, specifically the oh my God. I'm going to kill this. El Wiguencia.
You had it right the first time, or close.
Oh my God.
I would give up. I would just turn your microphone
They
off.
have discontinued that. And they also have moved away from Aganorsa's factory and moved those cigars that were at Aganorsa's factory, being made at Aganorsa's factory, to my father SA in Esteli. Now, this Wise Man Maduro is a new version of the Wise Man Maduro, as I mentioned, and it actually has a Corojo seed wrapper from Nicaragua. I'm reading this. And the other one was Mexican, and the other one is Mexican San Andreas. There are 2 different versions. Now, I really liked the first Wise Man Maduro, and I really enjoyed the complexity that it had. I'm interested to see how this has changed, and interested to see if there's any major, huge changes just going from one factory to another, or if it is also, just a massive change in profile. Charlie, what do you think?
I think our electrician was supposed to be here yesterday.
Yeah, he looks confused.
I would be confused too. I am confused, but I'm very curious to know if Nicholas provides some more color about why he left the Aganorsa factory, formerly known as Topsa. I will say that if we had to sort of take the upper tier factories, the factories that make cigars that are capable of being in our top 5 or top 25, the factories like Aganorsa that have won our Factory of the Year award for whatever that is worth. When you look at the list of those factories, because there really aren't that many, there may be like 24 that are in that level all around the world. I don't think there's a factory that has, outside of Cuba, that has been more impacted by the sort of pre to post-COVID worlds than Aganorsa. Certainly the factories in Nicaragua as a whole have been impacted more, especially due to migration. A lot of people have left Nicaragua. That has taken a lot of people away from factories, and a lot of like people that have been there for a while have left, which has really impacted it. And the quality control at that factory has got issues. Our reviews suggest it. Our comments section sort of confirms it if we have any doubts about it. And so I wonder if that's part of it. I wonder if it's just they didn't have room for them, which could be another thing, right? Like that factory is busy. Or if it was just like, hey, my father had an opening, and they don't always have openings. They aren't always willing to take on new clients, but they were willing to take me on now. So now I make the jump. I do know that the, you're going to be happy El Valencia goes away. So you don't see, just give up.
El Valencia.
There we go. But I do wonder, like our comment section was seemingly people were not happy about El Valencia going away. I will say there is oftentimes a disconnect between the comment section and sales. I don't know if that's the case here, but it didn't seem like people were overly excited to see that line leaving. As excited as they might be about the My Father part of it. I'm certainly curious to see it, and I'd be really curious to see if we get more broadleaf releases from Nicholas being made at My Father, because obviously that factory, with the work that it's done with Taiwahe and then the Jaime Garcia Reserva Especial line, like that factory has a long history of making really good broadleaf cigars. Nicholas, obviously from his time at Drew Estate, long history with broadleaf.
Indeed.
All right. Yeah, so I don't know if this is the electrician's favorite, but we'll ask him when he comes back in an hour. The Tyson 2.0 Undisputed. So this is a new project from Gurkha and Mike Tyson, the famous boxer. And you told me you were a big fan of his 2014 television show.
Oh, man. Who remembers this cartoon? Mike Tyson Mysteries. It was a classic, truly.
I did not know it existed until yesterday, but...
You should go back and look at it. It's great.
When I have some time, like later today, I'll get right around to it. Anyways, I'm very curious about this release because Mike Tyson is a A-list celebrity in a way that, like he's a bona fide A-list celebrity. Obviously, he's a very famous boxer from the 1990s and has had a second career in show business and is still boxing. He's actually going to box Jake Paul in Dallas in a... I don't believe it's a professional fight. I believe it's going to
kill him.
I don't know about that.
I've seen videos of him working out. I can't imagine. Look at that
videos
guy.
of Mike Tyson working out?
Yeah, man. He's got it on Instagram. Haven't you seen him?
I mean, I've seen some of Mike Tyson's, but like, did you see when he fought a couple years ago or 4 years ago now?
He looks much better than he did then.
I don't know. The other thing with Jake Paul is like he's not a good elite level boxer, but he is much better than like the rest of the influencer boxers. Like he has beaten some...
Is that really such a high bar to hit, though?
Well, I think that there's a very large gap in between the influencer boxers and the elite level boxers. But like, here's the deal: Jake Paul has fought some like legitimate like boxers that would be at the bottom of cards that are making like $1,000 to show up, right? But he has fought some legitimate professional boxers. Again, not elite professional boxers in their primes, but he has fought people that like they didn't just show up to 24-hour fitness, took 3 classes, and then went and boxed. So, and he's like a big dude too. And Mike Tyson is in his 50s. So I don't know how that fight's going to go. I'm not all that interested.
Experience wins out.
Not all that interested in it. But maybe he'll celebrate his win with a bong hit and a victory, Undisputed 2.0 cigar. This cigar is offered in 2 different sizes, 7x60 and I think 6x60, but I could be wrong about that.
6x70?
Sorry? No, I don't think it's 6x7. Maybe. 2 different blends as well. That's the Maduro, and then I believe we got a Habano, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, but I'm very curious to see. Mike Tyson's supposed to be on hand at the PCA Convention and Trade Show. He was at TPE. He's got a ton of other products in sort of parallel industries like vapes and weed and CBD and all that stuff. So that's why he was at TPE for one of his other... it may have been like a blunt wrap company, to be quite honest. He is certainly... profited off of his name, image, and likeness in a way that few athletes have been able to, and is seemingly unabashed when it comes to putting his name on things. And I'm curious to see how this does, because we have seen, I would say, the most successful celebrity cigar in the modern era. We've seen it, and that is the Guy Fieri Knuckle Sandwich cigars partnership with Espinosa. That is a line that seems like it can survive without the celebrity in a way that I don't think like the Ray Lewis, Rocky Patel line would have worked without the Ray Lewis aspect, and I'm not really sure that the Ray Lewis thing worked. But Gurkha's going to have to give Tyson some sort of royalty here, and these cigars aren't priced outrageously. They're right around $20 or just under 20.
At the price.
Yeah, and so I'm curious to see like what this does. I think
price.
I think it's a really smart move from Gurkha. But assuming they're not having to give him like $5 a cigar, which I can't imagine given the pricing they are. But it's just going to be curious to see, because again, we don't see like bona fide A-list celebrities, and Mike Tyson is that even still, and especially the fact that he's going to be fighting Jake Paul. Like, there's going to be more eyeballs on Mike Tyson this year than there probably were last year, and also some new eyeballs with the Jake Paul circus.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, I mean, the interesting, to me, Gurkha, this does not look like a Gurkha box to me, or Gurkha branding. It's very, I find it very interesting, and I'd like to see this in person to see exactly what it actually looks like.
Well, if you're covering the Gurkha booth, you will get to see it in
Am
person.
I covering the Gurkha booth?
I don't know.
All right. We'll see if we figure that out. All right, coming up next is the Aganorsa Leaf Arsenio. Now, this is a new line that was created to honor Aganorsa's blender, Arsenio Ramos. And he unfortunately passed away in 2018. This is not the first time that the company has actually released a cigar line to, with his name attached anyway. They had two other ones. One of them is the, let me see here, Casa Fernandez Arsenio. The other one is the Arsenio Oro. They've both been discontinued. Now, the Aganorsa Leaf is describing this as a Cubanesque blend, which I do find fascinating for sure. And while the company does have some new lines, extensions coming out at the show, this is actually, interestingly, basically the major release for the company. I've always enjoyed cigars that commemorate people important to the cigar companies. I think that they probably do a fairly good job with them putting great tobacco into it and that kind of thing, for the most part. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this has to offer for sure. Charlie?
Well, you stole some of my thoughts. I mean, when I saw this press release show up, because they had been teasing that the Arsenio line, that they were doing something with it, and so that I wasn't surprised by that. And I was told that it wasn't just a packaging change. This was a full rework. I was curious to see them use the Cubanesque term. That was something that, like, 8 to 10 years ago was a big thing you would hear all the time. People would be like, this is a Cubanesque cigar. We are making Cubanesque cigars. And it's seemingly fallen off a cliff. I can't think of the last time I heard someone be like, oh yeah, we blended this to be really Cubanesque. It also kind of always gives me a chuckle because, like, I don't know how many of these people smoke Cuban cigars all that often. And when they do, they seem to just, like, hate smoke them. I'm not specifically talking about Aganorsa here, but, like, when I have conversations in private with
smoke.
Well, no, but, like, you do this as well, right? When you have conversations in private with cigar manufacturers and you're like,
stand this fucking Cuban
and they
cigar.
ask you about Cuban cigars because you go to the festival and they're like,
Sure.
oh yeah, how was that? And then they're like, oh yeah, I smoked this Partagas last week and it was always terrible. Overpriced, terrible, under-fermented tobacco, drug was, the draw was plugged, whatever, right? Like, can't believe anyone buys this shit. Like, that is, I don't know, 8 times out of 10, that is more or less the conversation that takes place. And it's like, yes, some of those cigars aren't great. Some of them, though, I have smoked over the years. Not every single Partagas I've smoked in the modern era has been terrible. A lot of them have been not terrible. A lot of them have been good cigars. And so I do think a lot of them just, like, go into it ready to hate the cigars.
How did we get off on that? All right.
Because the Cubanesque thing, like, because when when you hear,
obviously a marketing term that has nothing, it's so general that it doesn't mean anything whatsoever.
But when I hear the cigar makers, non-Cuban cigar makers, say, I'm trying to make a cigar that's Cubanesque, I do think, like, well, they're not, all the Cubans don't all taste the same, right? Fortunately, they all don't taste like Vigueros. But, like, why, like, what what does that mean? And like, do you actually like Cuban cigars? The people that blend these things to be Cuban-esque. Again, not specifically talking about Aganorsa here, but it is an interesting thing because like, I wouldn't be like, oh, we wrote this article to be in Middle English. Like, if I haven't been reading Middle English, like, it would just be an uneducated guess. You just get bad Game of Thrones content.
Juan that the sur de suta.
All right.
Tell me where that's from.
I have no idea.
English.
So, next up on my list, speaking of Cubanesque, is the Quesada 50th. So, this celebrates the 50th anniversary of Quesada. Started with, what is the line? Like a table and 2 chairs or just a chair? I forget the exact line. It's similar to Padron's Hammer thing, right? Like, Manolo Quesada started the factory with like...
$50 in a chair?
Something like that. That
Right.
might have been $50 in a chair. Nicely done there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So this cigar was shown off at Pro Cigar last
useful.
month in the Dominican Republic. I mean, that's debatable. And it is available in 2 sizes. Interestingly, that Perfecto size is like much more limited than the Toro, the box press Toro size. Like there's like 10% of the Perfectos versus the Toro. I do have a bit of an update. So some of you may have heard or may know when this cigar was announced at Pro Cigar, it was during a visit to the Quesada factory. I was not there, to be quite clear. But Manolo Quesada fell and was taken to the hospital after falling. He is doing a lot better. I actually saw a video today that one of the Quesadas posted of him in the factory. So he is out of the hospital. He's been at home resting, and he was in the factory relatively recently. It seems like maybe today or yesterday. And so good news that Manolo is doing well. Sort of one of the true gentlemen of the cigar industry.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Truly.
Yeah. And my favorite merchant marine that I've ever met. And
a lot of merchant marine.
I knew somebody that was trying to become a merchant marine in high school. Like that was their plan. They were going to go to the Merchant Marine Academy, which I don't know if that's like an actual university or just a training center. But I don't think they followed through with the Merchant Marine. But Manolo did. That's how he got his American citizenship. He served as a Merchant Marine during Vietnam. And I'm a big fan of this cigar's packaging. It looks like a cigar that if it was in the Habanos portfolio, it wouldn't look out of place. I don't know if that was necessarily the intent there, but very rarely do we see cigar packaging from non-Cuban manufacturers that's sort of at that level. Love the font and the way they incorporated the Quesada logo into the 50.
Yes. It's very high-end, very simple, but memorable for sure.
Yeah, and curious to try that cigar. If they made a tweaked España blend, I would not be against it. But I don't.
Only if there's a ninfa.
Oh, well, yeah. How did those sell?
Probably not very well. But they taste great. Or did. I haven't had one in a while. All right. My next cigar is the Monte Cristo 1935 anniversary Edition Double.
Why did you do that to yourself?
Diamante. Got that right. Now, this is one of at least 2 cigars that are debuting at the PCA show that have a retail price close to $100. This one, it was $150, and there's also the what's the other one? The Vartan, right? Vartan, $98. Now, this new Monte Cristo from Altadis USA features tobaccos that were aged for at least 10 years before being rolled. Now, in addition, the 20-count boxes, there's only 250 of them being made, and those 20-count boxes, according to the company, can double as humidors, actual humidors. $3,000 is the MSRP for those boxes, so I would hope that would actually work out well. Now, I actually enjoyed the Monte Cristo, the first Monte Cristo 1935 anniversary Diamante, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm always up to smoke a $150 cigar. So
only because you don't pay for them.
Well, I kind of pay for them, but
Yeah, but
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot different if it was coming out of your checking account, not the business's checking account.
Touche. However, still.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's my entire thoughts with all of this. Right?
Uh-oh.
Like, capitalism is good and great and whatever. Do whatever you want.
Yay, capitalism.
It would be a lot better if I felt like we were getting something different with these overpriced cigars. Like,
You're getting a bigger price. Isn't that enough?
yeah. Well, you're also getting this decanter set if you're a retailer. This is how you know that there's a lot of margin baked in, is that there's this very nice looking decanter
It's
set.
very nice looking.
Yeah, for like a gift with purchase item. I don't know how exactly this is working, but like it's a very nice looking decanter set. That's a good sign that there's a lot of margin baked into this product. Yeah, look, Altadas is not the first. They're not going to be the last, right? Like Davidoff Oro Blanco, Habanos is doing it with Cohiba and Trinidad left and right these days. We certainly have seen other manufacturers that have gotten into these $100 price points. And
I mean, hell, Cohiba Robusto's about $100 now.
yeah, and look, and you have a company like Selected Tobacco, right, that the whole portfolio is tends to be north of 50 these days. Actually, maybe some of it's less than 50, but a lot of it, none of it is $12 is the point. I feel like it would be a lot easier to swallow these pills if there was something that was meaningfully different about the cigars themselves. I will say with the Davidoff Oro Blanco, at least in my limited experience smoking it, it does not taste like any other Davidoff product that they sell. And while I don't think that it's worth $500, I can at least understand that it's different than a Colorado Claro, which is a good cigar in its own right. That could be the case here, but I don't think that it's going to consistently be the case with these cigars with $100 price points. A lot of times I smoke them and go, am I the sucker?
Look, Altadas didn't make that many of them. It's not going to be too difficult to, as you mentioned yesterday during our preview show, they only sell like a third of them probably to break even on this.
I would say much fewer than that.
But I feel like that they're just doing this basically because they want to make a splash, and there's nothing wrong with that. Capitalism is good, and we'll see. The market will tell whether a $150 cigar will win out or not. Some people,
they've done it right. The packaging looks excellent. This decanter set looks super cool.
Sure.
If you're into Monte Cristo, swag, right? Like it looks very high end. So it's not like they just took a normal Monty White and put an extra band on it and said it's $150. But it would be a lot better if I smoked that cigar and go, oh, that tastes different.
But you haven't smoked the cigar.
And better, yes. But I've smoked enough of these $100 cigars to know that at this point, these companies have seen an opening in the market and have said there are people that are willing to pay for these. I told the story last Friday that Jeff Borshowitz, the owner of Corona Cigar Company, told me many years ago when the Davidoff Oro Blanco was coming out. He said, every day at one of my stores, somebody walks in and says, what's the most expensive cigar in the humidor? And there's a decent chance that they buy it. And that's why we carry the Gurkha HMR. That's why we're really excited to carry the Davidoff Oro Blanco, because the people that are interested in this price point is different than $750 or $500.
Certainly.
It's very different. But, the people that walk in that do that, they probably aren't readers of Half Wheel. They probably aren't people that are in the lounge on a regular basis. They're people that are there celebrating or more occasional smokers that just say, screw it, I want the most expensive whatever, and I have the funds to pay for it. And guess what? Like, the retailer wins, the manufacturer wins, etc. And no one's going to force anyone to buy any of these things. So, as a consumer, if you don't want to buy them, you don't buy them. I will say, if you're like a consumer and you're like, I'm going to protest all these $100 cigars and never buy them again, that's not going to make a shit of difference. They're going to keep doing this until they get their asses handed to them financially, where none of these things sell and they have to eat it. And I don't think we're there yet. I think the market has proven that there is openings for this. And some of it also is like, if you go to Vegas and go try to buy a cigar on the strip, like, some of these cigars are $100 because they've been marked up enough because of the taxes in Nevada are actually a lot better now, but they used to be a lot worse. And so it is what it is. It's not my favorite cigars to report on because, again, I don't always find these things to be special. We'll see if the Monte Cristo is different, and if nothing else, that decanter set looks nice.
Awesome.
All right. Next up on the list, something that does not come with a decanter set, to my knowledge, but maybe, because we haven't actually seen the cigar. It is the Elusion, the Group of 5 DB. This is the first of what will be 5 cigars in the Group of 5 series. It's a new release from Elusion. It is being made by Aganorsa in Nicaragua, so the Topsa factory, or the factory formerly known as Topsa, that makes most of Elusion's cigars. This size is a 5x52. Elusion is no longer disclosing its blends in details, but Dion has said that this cigar has tobacco in it that is no longer or has not been grown in Nicaragua in a while. He said that the bales that he has are 3 years old. There's also some Corojo and Criollo inside of it. I would suspect, just given sort of the Elusion blending profile, a lot of Aganorsa tobaccos inside, maybe all Aganorsa tobaccos, depending on what the wrapper is. But again, we do not know that. It's on here because Elusion gets the benefit of the doubt. Elusion, when Dion gets it right, his ceiling is a lot higher than most brands. And he has hit that ceiling or gotten into that upper echelon for his blending a lot. And, some of my favorite cigars ever have been Elusiones. Like I mentioned with the conversation about the Arsenio, about Nicholas Malilla with Foundation leaving this factory to go to my father with the Wise Men lines. Elusion has been affected by what I believe to be quality control issues at Aganorsa in sort of the after COVID started era. I'm curious to see if those issues are turning or have turned, and would very much appreciate it because Aganorsa's got good tobacco. They've consistently proven that, and Dion is more than capable of blending cigars, but I do feel like the factory at times has fallen short when it comes to quality control over the years, and I know that I'm not alone. Our commenters have said as much as well. But it's on here because, I think you're in the same boat, right? Like, Dion's done enough excellent cigars that I'm always going to be interested to see what the next Elusion is.
Look, I'm going to smoke anything Dion puts out, and he could call it Dog Turd, Express. And
Triple Candela.
And I'd smoke it, right? He's one of my favorite blenders, has been since I started, to be honest with you. Well, since I tried it, I guess, for the first time. And he's certainly, in my mind, he has garnered that, reputation, and has really, accepted the fact. I am rambling on here, but my point here.
What fact has Dion accepted?
I'm looking for an adjective. I can't find
that
it.
Whispering tongues are treachery? Is that the fact that he accepted?
Look, here's the thing. I would have put one of his, cigars on here immediately if you hadn't already done it. Because to me, anything Dion puts out is worth trying. There's no doubt in my mind that there's a very good chance it's a very good cigar, and that's really the bottom line.
Yeah. Curious to try it. There's another Elusion product which could have been on here. It was kind of just pick 'em one-off black, which I think also uses some of that 3-year-old tobacco that has not been grown in Nicaragua recently. And then also Epernay is getting a new packaging. When I first saw it, it reminded me of one of Dion's favorite cigar brandings, Naughty Goose, because it's got a swan on it, but it's not Naughty Goose.
Oh, okay.
I'm never going to pass up an opportunity to mention Naughty Goose.
Naughty Goose.
It's like the best cigar branding of all time. I mean, it's
all right.
You can't look at it and not be like, oh, that's kind of funny. Why is it called Naughty Goose? That makes no sense.
I'm gonna try to come back from that. Here we go. So my last cigar is the Aladino Fuma Noche. Now, over the years, Aladino has done some really good stuff.
I really like how you waited for me to tell you that your Spanish
if I was wrong, right? You like that?
Yeah.
Over the past year, and years, but over the past year for sure, Aladino has really impressed me with some of their releases. The Aladino Limited Edition, the Sumatra line, are both extremely enjoyable to me. And I'm going to, again, like Elusion, I'm going to smoke pretty much anything that they put out to at least try it. And this is one of those cigars. We don't know a lot about it at the moment. From Spanish, the name Fuma Noche, Noche translates to night smoke. And it is a Maduro wrapper, they say. One size is a 6 1/4 by 54 Toro Extra. And it has a filler tobaccos that are grown in Honduras. We don't know a lot more about it other than the price, $15 each, boxes of 16. But in reality, the lack of info doesn't really hurt me at all in terms of, in terms of me wanting to try it. I'm going to try it, and I'm probably going to think it's probably going to be fairly enjoyable, regardless. Charlie.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly curious about this. JRE has got as solid of a track record, I would say, of any company, especially when it comes to construction. It was multiple years before I'd smoked anything from JRE that had any construction issues. And some of these Honduran Puros have been extremely impressive. I'm curious about, they have another new line that I suspect will be at the show. It was ineligible because it has not been formally announced. Though it did end up on a retailer's Instagram page recently, the Aladino Cameroon Reserva. So I'm curious to see what that's like.
Wow, that sounds really great. Sorry. My bad.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
Well, we don't know, but hopefully. All right, and
Odds are.
the final one added this morning is the Flor Dominicana 30 years. This cigar also was sort of previewed, I guess. I don't know if it ever actually got shown off at Pro Cigar, but it was mentioned that this thing was coming, and this morning we got the press release. So this is going to be the iconic La Flor Dominicana chisel size.
Love that chisel.
Which is like a weird box press torpedo, a weird or unique, depending on how you want to look at it, but a very different looking cigar. I believe a cigar that is actually registered or shaped that's registered with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. One of the very few cigars that has any sort of patent or trademark, or patent, I guess, on the shape of it. And it is going to be only sold, at least for the moment, in these humidors. 2,000 humidors are coming. No word on pricing or a release date yet. Interesting note, these humidors are made at the La Flor Dominicana Box Factory, which is a relatively new thing that they added, sort of Tony Gomez project. I like the packaging. You can't see it here, but the article on Half Wheel will show it better. But the bands are a modified, the main band at least, is a modified version of the old school La Flor band with the tobacco flower on it. So this is sort of a remixed version. And then the inside, you can see that classic advertisement that La Flor used for years with Lito and Inez Gomez on the horse. Brooks, you have an interesting sort of story here, because this isn't the 30th anniversary of La Flor Dominicana. It's the 30th anniversary of Lito and Inez Gomez's time in the cigar industry, which started with a cigar that you were one of the very few people part of this broadcast that have actually gotten to smoke.
Yes, I
Do you
wish
remember
I
what
could
it's
remember
called?
the name of it.
Los
I don't.
Libertadores.
Oh, yes. I tracked one down at some point in the past before its Smoking Stogie days, as I recall, and which is my blog before Half Wheel. And I don't remember where I bought it or how much I paid or anything like that, but it was really actually quite good. And time-wise, it had been a long time since that had been released, and I was really impressed with it. And look, La Flor is in the position they're in for a reason. Their stuff is consistently very, very good. I love the chisel. I've always. How do you break the? Do you squeeze the chisel together to open it, or do you punch it?
I either squeeze it or cut it. I'm not as much of a fan of punching the top of the taper. What about you?
I squeeze it every time. It just works, right? You squeeze it, opens up, and that's the end of it. It's great. I love the size. I love smoking them, and I'm really looking forward to this. I'm glad you included it because I'm really looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, really curious to see what the humidor looks like in full. We have a pretty decent idea of it, but just an interesting cigar, interesting brand, interesting sort of how they got their Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, tobacco from the Dominican Republic in the binder and filler, although the binder is not from the La Canela farm that they own, from a different area of the Dominican Republic. But very curious to try it, and congratulations to Lito and Inez for 30 years in the business, and congrats again to Tony, who got engaged at Pro Cigar, one of sort of the crazier moments of
and you got an awesome picture of that.
There were a lot of people that got
you
awesome
got an
pictures.
amazing
there
photograph.
A
you
lot
just move
of
over just a little bit to the left, but you got a great
again.
shot.
Carlos Fuente III was there. You can ask him about his pictures. He's doing an event tomorrow here in Dallas. Cigar Warehouse.
I saw.
Yes. If the good news is there's not much going on this week, so we can probably swing by there tomorrow.
Just swing by.
Yep. All right. So that concludes. Oh, these are what the bands look like. Sorry, I didn't realize I put that in there.
Breaking news.
But yeah, so if you're familiar with like the Factory Press 1, Factory Press 2, Limitada, there used to be this tobacco flower on the bands. They've since sort of gotten away from that, but that's what this looks like. Really like the packaging. Wouldn't be surprised if it shows up, assuming it ships this year, on the packaging awards list. Certainly will be a nomination if it's eligible. All right. If you guys have any questions that aren't for our electrician, get them in over the next couple minutes, and we might take a look at some of them, or we'll piece out here and get to figuring out what the electrician, where he went. But yeah, I am curious.
Renegade just commented about the Adventura, the new one, and I'm also looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think we finally published that story. I don't know.
Absolutely. Adventura is another one of those blends, one of those brands that I'll try pretty much anything they put out at least once, and it's no doubt.
I'm curious. Atlantic has a box pressed version of the Queen's Pearl Corona that finished in our top 3 one year.
Yeah.
On the top 25, they have that same cigar but box pressed. I'm curious to try that at some point. But yeah, it's I think the most interesting thing to me, because we talked about this last week about like, are there going to be as many new releases? We both think probably not. One thing that sticks out to me is that typically this list ends up with a lot of accessories on it, and there have not been very many announced. There was the Leif and Lam announced some new colorways yesterday. Vissel had some new stuff that got announced yesterday, but like curious to there's stuff coming from DuPont and LA Blue, I'm sure, but we've not heard much of it, which is an interesting thing.
Didn't SC DuPont do the Game of Thrones thing?
They announced that they have the Game of Thrones thing coming. They have not shown off any of that product yet. But yeah, there is. I've seen it. It's interesting looking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They were at the Habanos festival showing off the Trinidad stuff,
which we didn't write about. We did not. Yeah, they have more collaborations coming with not just with Game of Thrones, but also with others, and I would suspect more Habano stuff in the works as well.
And they did the lighter and the cutter for the final night gala for the 55th Trinidad. Very nice lighter. I wish I had it here to show you, but I don't. All right, questions? Anybody?
I don't think so.
Any questions?
I think I may be having issues with the comments working on StreamYard, but anyway, so we'll get out of here. So one last show. We're gonna have a recap show. Hopefully you'll have questions then. Maybe we'll do some giveaways. I don't know. It's a long time away from here, but it's a week from Friday. Back in the same time and places. So noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. The rest of you guys can figure it out depending on your time zones. We appreciate everyone that has tuned in for these shows and are checking out the website. There'll be a lot more content on there. I will give you a brief warning. These Rocky Patel ads are loud, but we do appreciate Rocky Patel for sponsoring the pre-show coverage here. It takes a lot of work and quite a bit of money to produce the content that we do surrounding and particularly at the PCA Convention Trade Show every year. So thank you to Rocky Patel for sponsoring this portion of coverage. Drew Estate will take over, and there will be giveaways coming from Drew Estate, assuming that they let me know what they're giving away for you guys on the website. You can read all about that starting on Saturday, once the 2024 PCA Convention and Trade Show kicks off in earnest. Until then, I'm Charlie Minato. That is Brooks Whittington. Thank you for tuning in.